Well, Mike Bloomberg released his jobs plan this morning. The plan outlines the 2020 presidential candidates' proposals for education, the economy, and his push for a $15 minimum wage. The Mike Bloomberg 2020 co-chair of California and San Jose Mayor, Sam Liccardo, is with us now from California. Sam, thank you so much for joining us. So looking through some of the elements of this plan, talks about that $15 minimum wage, talks about increased job training. How is Mike Bloomberg's plan significantly different from the other Democratic candidates?
Well, thanks for allowing me to join you. Mike is really focused on making work pay. He recognizes that this has not been an economy that has produced jobs broadly. And while many Democratic candidates are talking about things like increasing the minimum wage, as Mike is really focused on research and development in those industries where we know an awful lot of Americans have been left behind, in agriculture, manufacturing, where we can create new jobs in the Rust Belt and parts of the country that frankly haven't benefited from prosperity in the same way that my own community in Silicon Valley has.
Mayor, I'm curious, part of the plan includes not only raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour and then adjusting it with inflation, indexing it to inflation, but also investment to train people and to offer unionization, the ability for people in the gig economy who are not full-time employees to organize and take their issues to management. What's going to make a leftist Democrat, someone who leans towards Bernie Sanders, trust a billionaire to deliver on that?
Well, Mike has a record of governing, and that record is very impressive. In New York City, he was able to reduce the poverty rate, reduce income inequality at a time that was rising throughout the rest of the country, and through 2 recessions, saw the creation of 470,000 jobs in New York City. And he did it in the same way that he proposes to lead now, which is ensuring that there's broader access to prosperity. He had a pilot there to boost the earned income tax credit, which is what he'd like to see happen throughout the country to really make work pay and reduce the inequality we know is choking us as a country and dividing us.
Mayor Liccardo, Rick Newman here in New York. What is Mike Bloomberg doing to win the state of California in the Democratic primaries?
Well, most importantly, he's here on the ground. I was just with him a few days ago, and we were with a Moms Demand Action group in a residential neighborhood in San Diego. We toured through various parts of Southern California where he was really listening to residents about what they cared about, which is out in California, we're concerned about affordable housing. We're very concerned about the growing divide. We're concerned about homelessness. And Mike has a track record in New York to be able to point to about how he's created 175,000 affordable housing units in New York, more than any other city in the country during that time. So I think his message is really resonating because he's on the ground. We know a lot of candidates are in other parts of the country, but Mike is really focused on all 50 states.
Mr. Mayor David Nelson, I guess the obvious question is Mayor Bloomberg in it to win it, or is he in this to maybe shape the outcome and make sure that a centrist ends up being the final candidate?
Well, certainly he's in it to win it. He is on the ground investing all of his time, and he's got a team, and he is opening offices in all 46 states right now and soon to be 50. He is invested in winning this nomination and ultimately the presidency. But as you know, he's also invested in making sure we beat Donald Trump. And he's going to do whatever he can to ensure that whether it's him or another nominee, that we prevail against Trump in November. I'm convinced Mike Bloomberg can win this race. And he's demonstrated already as we're seeing him rise in the polls.
I want to switch gears for a moment because you are the mayor of San Jose, which is a huge tech hub there in California. As we have been talking about all during the show and for the past several days, we now have these rising tensions in the Mideast. Cyber attacks are something that has been talked about. What are you guys doing in San Jose, both on the municipal level, but also your constituents there, the companies that are based there, to defend yourselves against any potential attacks?
Well, we've actually made a lot of investments within City Hall to ensure that we are more resilient to cyber attacks. We know this is something that's happening to communities across the country, and there is no substitute for simply good expertise in investing dollars the right way. And we know that there's more to come, certainly. The Trump administration seems to lack a strategy for how it's going to wage this war, this armed conflict, whatever we might call this. I think Mike Bloomberg understands that you don't go into situations like this without a clear plan about how to get out.
Mayor Sam Liccardo of San Jose, California, thank you very much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.